Hello, I am Max Potter. It started my freshman year. I went to the club fair. I was just a little guy. I saw the newspaper, and going into high school, I was always thinking about like how to do sports because I just love sports, love competition, winning, love winning, and Creek does a lot of winning. So I thought that was great. I went in there. Newspaper, as you guys know, is a monthly thing, so it's like, how can scores need to come out a little bit faster than that. I mean, you know that they got to come out quick. You don't want to see a score a month later from a game that happened in it's March, a game out in February. Like that's just so. They had a Union Street Journal Twitter page, and I said, you know, we could do this. I could do one after the game, and they said, that's great. I went to Miss Hughes, who was the USJ teacher my freshman year, and I said, we should make a Twitter account. This is kind of how it all came into fruition. It was the next day I look on Max Preps and I see state volleyballs that day. So I get my dad, because I'm 14 years old and I can't drive a car. And I say, hey Dad, can we go down to the Coliseum and go cover some volleyball? I had never seen volleyball before in my life. I remember I was talking to some of the girls on the freshman team, because I was a freshman. I'm like, what is happening out here? I don't even know like what they were going to. And the girls on that team, like looking back, that was a really good team. And I didn't even know it. I was covering a great team. I don't remember how far they went, but that was a pretty cool day. Sophomore year, I think it was Mr. Weiss that came to me and said, let's get involved. September 5th, 2015, yeah. We did our first interview, and that was with John Van Diest.
Hello, I'm Max Potter. We reached the final of this game. Your Cherry Creek Bruins won it 17-3. I'm joined by defensive end, Jonathan Van Diest. John, how'd you feel about today's game?
Today was a great game. Defensively, we dominated. We played fast with the ball. We did our job, and we most importantly played for each other.
That was kind of cool that he was in my class. And junior year also for football, I got my first job in journalism, Kyle Newman. That's when he was running Colorado Sports Network, and he came up to me at a football game and said, I got a job for you if you'd like one. Working for that Colorado Sports Network, that ended this year in October, but that propelled me into my current journalism job, which is at CCSN now. So I work for Ryan Casey and Dan Mormon. And Dan Mormon came up to me with Paul Angelico, the CCSN commissioner, who's retiring this year, and they said, like, you'd be the perfect kid to do this job. We're thinking of getting interns to do this reporting, so we could kind of get the high school perspective on it, and you have the sort of inside look from inside the school that we can't get as media personnel. So now I'm working at CCSN, and that is a really great gig. I get to do all the Creek games, and I kind of give them pieces here and there when they want them, and I go out to other games. But that, of course, will be ending at the end of this year.
Post-game interviews.
My favorite ones I've done, it might have been a semifinal field hockey, and I was like interviewing, like, I think it was Ashley Hilliard, and like the whole field hockey team's like standing behind Weiss and the camera, and they're all like making funny faces, trying to get her laugh and stuff, and like me, I'm trying to be as professional as I can, but it's still funny to see, like, these are still high school kids. I mean, I'm trying to treat them like they're like a college kid, but you look past that and you see that they're just a high schooler. They're not more than 19 years old. Do you remember the interview I did with Tony McDougal after one of the volleyball games? I don't want to watch that one.
How did it feel to win this one here at the Cocktail? How did it feel to get this win? What did it feel to get this win going into this tournament? So you played a great game out there. Defense, you played great.
Thank you.
Especially for a forward player, and you know, you're just killing everything.
Thank you.
How did it feel when you were just, you know, doing your thing out there?
It feels good. I mean, I wouldn't do it without my team, so.
All right, there you have it. Tony, thank you so much for the
Thank you.
interview. Congratulations on the win. We hope you have a great time. See you next time.
Because I asked her the same question 5 different times, and she was like towering over me. Oh, that was mortifying.
Max Potter, we're doing this video because he's made contributions to Cherry Creek High School that no other student that I can recall in my 17 years has done before. It all started his really sophomore year when he stuck out for me as this kid who was going to all these activities and had a really good pulse on what was going on athletically at Cherry Creek High School. And it wasn't just the big sports, it became everything, and he was everywhere. And really it got to the point where we realized as administrators that Max was our best source of information. So rather than ask each other about what was going on at an event, we just needed to follow Max because he was in tune to what was going on. So I think early on he really was a person who the adults recognized as doing some special things and giving of himself to share what his peers were doing and what Cherry Creek athletic programs were doing. But it wasn't long before the students took note of who Max was. And so now to watch who he was as a sophomore and who he is as a senior is pretty special. Kids love him. They know that he's a special individual. He's a leader. He cares about the school. He cares about his peers. He cares about the Cherry Creek brand, and he makes sure that it's celebrated. But on top of that, he's a professional. He's not like any other student reporter I've seen. And in fact, I would say he's just as good, if not better, as some of our local reporters. And I've seen growth in the 3 years that I've been watching him and following him, and I anticipate he'll continue to get better. So I would say, Max, thank you for all that you've done for Cherry Creek High School, for our athletic programs, and for giving so much of yourself. I don't know how you're able to manage the academic schedule that you've had, the grades that you've earned, while also making sure that you're at every event celebrating all of our athletes. So we owe a big debt of thank you to Max, and I know that future students are going to want to follow in his footsteps. So thank you, Max, for paving the way.
Max Potter has kind of taken sports broadcasting and coverage of sports to an entirely new level, not only for Cherry Creek High School, but potentially for the state. I think before Max got here, I've been here with Max all 4 years. I was the athletic director 1 year before Max got here, and we had a little bit of coverage, but it was a little sparse. Okay, so Max came on the scene as a freshman, and I didn't really know him at first because he was a freshman. I kind of saw him around, started talking to him. I noticed he was at everything, and noticed that he was really into what he was doing, and he just kept coming. Now, all 4 years, he's done more and more and more to a level of, it's pretty much, I don't think anybody can ever replicate it. He's given up more time and energy than anybody I can imagine ever at Cherry Creek that I've ever known, and I've been here for 12, 13 years. I remember when I was first getting out of college and I was trying to get into coaching and education, and somebody told me, hey, I'm gonna crack the door open for you. You need to decide if you're gonna go through it. Once you go through it, what you do is up to you. Well, I remember that year I kind of cracked the door for Max and introduced him to a few people, and he didn't just go through it. He knocked the whole thing down and took the wall with him, and has kind of gone on to a whole new level. I mean, you walk around school, you could make the argument that more people know who Max Potter is at the school than anybody else. Max Potter will be one of those stories, one of those people that we talk about for the rest of our lives. And it won't be just by me, it'll be by all the coaches here at Cherry Creek High School, as well as the players, the faculty, and staff, because as I said earlier, Max Potter is a household name.
In my 27 years, I can't think of any kid that has had a greater impact upon the athletic program and sports at this high school. He was class with sportsmanship every day, every tweet, and that will always stick with me as long as I remember.
You know, Max, now that your time at Creek is coming to a close, or I guess when this releases, you will have graduated and hopefully we'll be hoisting a few more titles. But you've done so much for this school, for this community, for your peers, coaches, for myself, and it's been a pretty enriching, phenomenal experience being able to share life with you these past few years. When you came into my office as a Bieber-looking sophomore with your haircut, looking for ways to get involved with the Bruins Den as that was launching, and get involved with a TV show that we were doing at the time, Dirt from the Den, and covering sports. You were just eager and just selfless in what you were trying to do, and whether an adult was going to help guide you or not, you were going to make sure that your peers and their efforts were covered one way or another. And you definitely have left a mark on this school and on all of us that will never be forgotten at this place, for sure, and will be hard to replicate. I can't thank you enough for pushing me in so many ways. I love getting late night texts from you about ideas for coverage, or if I'm going to this event or that event, you know, kind of almost making me feel guilty that I'm not going to be at something, and most things I see you at, but it's been, every time I see you over the course of the past few years and the things we've been able to do together, it puts a smile on my face, and obviously now at this point a tear in my eye thinking that it's come to a close, but can't thank you enough for everything you've done.
This school is full of a lot of unique, exceptional kids who every year we're like, man, how are you gonna replace those kids, or boy, those kids are really special. But he really is a guy that's gonna be hard to replace. What he's meant for Creek and athletics and communication he has. I follow like 4 people on Twitter, and he's one of them. You know, he's a really mature guy, really cool to talk to. And if you're not careful as an adult or as a teacher, you'll like tell him too much because he seems like he's another adult when you're talking to him. Like, I remember he'd come up to me before a football game and ask a few things, and yeah, what? Oh shoot, this isn't the coach. This is Max. You know, he's always around the sporting events and everything. He's a great guy. I remember as a journalism major in college, asking questions is actually really difficult to get the person to talk and to elaborate, and he always seemed to ask questions that would really get me excited about the defense or whatever. And he was just always asked short, open-ended questions, so you get a lot out of the person he was interviewing, and that's a skill, no doubt. And you know, he always asked me after we won, so I was always in a good mood.
Yeah,
I never talked to him after we lost.
You didn't talk to anybody.
Yeah, he knew better.
Yeah. Oh.
Max, it's a pretty overused term, but you're the man. We're gonna miss you a lot, but you're gonna do great things, so I'm excited to hear it. See ya.
All right, Mad Max Potter, the man, the myth, the legend. Just meant a lot to the athletics program and the student body, the faculty, the administration. Everybody here knows Max. There's going to be a void when Max leaves. You know, I don't know if we'll ever see another Max Potter around here.
I think that's the thing. He knew the kids on the volleyball team a little bit, and you know, personally, and he probably got to know all the rest of the teams he covered too. But I think that was a big thing. And, you know, when you know people personally like that, Max, you did a great job just, you know, bringing all those individual things into everything. So thanks.
I think Max would be very silly to not pursue a career in journalism. You know, maybe he won't be a multimillionaire with his Porsches, etc. But maybe he will, because honestly, this kid has the talent to be an ESPN type personality in the end. I mean, not to say that he wants to, you know, be in front of the camera, or maybe he wants to be behind it. Maybe he can be a writer. But the point is, he has kind of all these skills that you really need as a journalist nowadays. You're no longer just a writer or photographer or an on-air guy. I mean, you have to do kind of everything, and Max has proven that he can do that.
it's one thing to, you know, be interested in journalism, but to have the passion that he has, and to have the passion about anything that he has to the level that Max has it is pretty special. The state's been lucky to have him around, and especially this school has been lucky to have Max.
I think I was one of the first interviews he did, and this might have been junior year. I can't remember when he like started doing like videos on Twitter, kind of post-game stuff for football. And I was one of the first videos he did, and I remember he was texting me after the game or the next day after. He was asking me like, "Hey John, how did I do? Did I ask good enough questions and stuff like that?" Other than that, you see him everywhere, and it's kind of cool because he takes it seriously, and he's always, you know, very into the game and what's going on, and very educated, like who's playing and, you know, the sport.
Well, I just want to thank Max for everything he's done for the POMS program. He's put POMS on the same level as every other sport at Creek, and he's one of the ones that wants to treat us just as equal as every other varsity sport here. And I know my teammates as well as my coaches really appreciate all he's done and how he makes others and our student body so aware of what we do and what our season's about.
I think just the most memorable thing about Max is honestly the Max dance, and he just does this like weird little dance where he goes like this and he like dances, and it can put a smile on anyone's face, and it's so funny. Yeah, I think it's amazing what Max has done for the school because we've never really had a big like media broadcasting like program here, and he has really taken it under with the help of several other students and made it this like amazing thing. And it's been awesome that he's gotten so involved with all the different athletic programs and been able to really utilize social media to like his advantage and get the word out. It's meant a lot to Creek, and I know a lot to all of us athletes.
To say that that kid's dedicated is kind of an understatement. I mean, he's clearly at almost every sporting event. Like, no matter how far. I think last year he came to our game in Colorado Springs. He came on the team bus, which was crazy because half the team didn't even want to go to Colorado Springs. So, I mean, it's just awesome that he knows pretty much everything about every sport, and he comes to everything. So I mean, I love the kid to death. So.
Yeah, I think it like really shows how like dedicated he is, like coming to like state and then driving like 2 hours to go to like a game in the mountains or something. So it really shows his like dedication and commitment to just like all the athletes.
And as you said, taking that momentum, you got Denver East on Saturday. They're always a good opponent. What is getting this win going into that game feel like for you and the team?
It gives us more confidence as a team. We really work together, and we're just going to use what we used in the game and apply to practice in the future games.
All right, my final words is I gotta thank a lot of people that have helped me get to this spot. First one is one of the guys I've become so more. I'm not gonna cry. I promise I'm not going to. One of the guys I see a lot just because of the nature of what I do is I gotta thank Mr. Wilkins for always involving me and making sure I'm kind of in the loop. And a second note, as this year I started to, and sophomore year and junior year, as I had him as a teacher, Mr. Goldsberry, who kind of helped me out. I gotta thank Mr. Weiss, because he, sophomore year, kind of incorporated me. And I had never had him as a teacher until this year for that broadcast media class. I gotta thank Mr. Knockel for PA announcing. I gotta thank Mr. Silva, because he was really, as Andrew said, he incorporated me in, and I never really felt like I was involved. Like, I never really had a lot of connections with Mr. Silva, but me and him just like had I guess you could call it a friendship. I mean, I think it's friendship, but it was like we didn't really talk. It was just kind of a hey here and there, but I think he respected what I did, and I, of course, had the utmost respect for our school's principal. I mean, I gotta thank Andrew over here. I gotta thank Ari. I gotta thank all those kids in that broadcasting class. Jed Malashok did our first. He was our guy when me and Weiss first did broadcast, and we had no idea what was happening in any sort of technological aspect. So Jed kind of stepped in and made all these graphics to make us kind of take a leap up from the lowest level that we've ever been at. And there are plenty more. There's so many coaches to thank. The biggest ones, Coach Moose in volleyball, Coach Dertinger and Brookhart in boys basketball, Coach Kernine in girls basketball, Coach Johnson. I mean, so many. Every coach at Creek has been accepting of me and has welcomed me in and made my job easier. And there are so many to thank. I can't remember them all at this moment, but everyone has been great. I tried so hard to keep it a secret for as long as I can, and I hope some people watch this video and say, like, who the hell's this kid? And they open it up and they're like, oh, this is the guy who's ran that Twitter account. This is Max Potter signing off for the final time, and as always, go Bruins.